What's up everybody, Teancum here with Sew Yeah Quilting. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how you make these travel size trash cans. And before we jump into the video, I want to show you these trash cans in use. Now that you've seen these trash cans in use, let's get started. As you can see, I've already gone ahead and pre-cut some of my fabrics. Also, something to remind everyone, down in the description below there's going to be a PDF download that has the template that we need to cut out our pieces of fabric. All I did was lay down my template on my fabric on the fold edge and cut out my template. I did that with 2 cotton prints and a stabilizer. You can also use batting. And this piece right here is a 3" by 15" strip that I've gone ahead and tri-folded. Let me see if I can't show you this. I've gone ahead and tri-folded it just for ease. So what our very first step is I'm going to take my 2 matching fabrics here. I'm going to slide these off to the side, and we're just going to be working with our stabilizer and our fabric. What I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my fabric onto my stabilizer, and what we're going to do next is we're going to fold this directly in half, putting right sides together. What you want to make sure to do is make sure your fabric stays nice and pretty on the inside, that we're not getting any puckers or anything like that. So I'm going to fold this over just like that. What I like to do is I like to stick a pin right through the center. That way I know nothing's gonna move on me while we're sewing. Well, our next step is to sew down the long edge here and the absolute bottom edge here. I'm going to be using 1/2" seams for all this. And so I've got a 1/2" seam mark on my sewing machine, which I'll line everything up with. And just due to the thickness of this material, take your time, make sure everything is just right. And now I'm going to sew down the bottom here. As you can see here, I've got a little bit of excess fabric and a little bit of excess stabilizer sticking out. I'm going to grab my ruler. What I'm going to do is take a ruler and my rotary color, and I'm going to just make sure everything is square, that the extra bulk is taken out of it as well. And if you didn't sew it exactly perfect straight, this is the best time to clean all of that up. I'm going to do the same thing to the bottom here as well. Now what our next step is to take out this pin, and what we're going to do, this is kind of where the origami of this thing comes into place. We're going to open this up, and we got to make sure that we're opening up the fabric on the inside as well. So I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to fold it down just like so. So I'm pushing down this, and then right here with my corner, I'm going to put these 2 corners, or sorry, I'm going to put my bottom edge and my corner together. Just like so. And I'm going to do that to both sides. What I'm going to do is stick a pin in it, that way I know that this isn't going to move on me. And then I'm going to do it to the other side as well. And so essentially all I'm doing is I'm matching up my seams here to each other. What our next step is to run a 1/2" seam all the way down. This will also give it the boxed edges or boxed corners that we need. So I stick this in the sewing machine. So that's my first edge. I'm going to take my pin out. Now it's time for the next one. gonna take my pin out again. And we're going to want to clean up our edge one more time. Okay, that edge is done. I'm going to turn it around to do the next edge. What our next step is to set this aside, so I'm going to set it right here, and to start working on our other piece of material. We're going to do the exact same thing, except without any foam at all. So I'm going to lay these right sides together. I'm going to sew a 1/2 inch seam all the way down this edge and across here. So I'm going to take this over to the sewing machine. And now I'm going to do the bottom next. Now that I've got my side sewn and my bottom, it's time to open this up and put my edges together, just like this. But in this case, we're only going to sew one edge. So I'm going to bring this over to the sewing machine. Now what the next step is I'm going to set this piece right next to my other piece. I'm hoping that'll stand up for me. And it's time to go over to that small piece of fabric that we had in the beginning. And like I said, this is just 3 inches of fabric that's tri-folded. So I fold in the edges towards the center, and then I fold it in one more time. And then you press it really good. That's the reason why this is all staying perfectly flat. What we're going to do next is we're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam down both sides. This is more just a decorative touch and to give it a little bit more strength. So that's the first side. So now that I finished sewing up our strapping here, it's time to connect everything together. First thing we need to do is take our lining, or this red fabric that I have here, and we're going to turn it right side out. And what we're going to do now is we're going to take it and drop it inside of the other part of this bag. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to match up my seams first to make sure everything is right on point how I want it to be. I'm going to drop a clip right on top of that. And now I'm just going to go around the entire bag, straightening out my fabric and adding clips. And one thing that we want to be mindful of is we want to match our front and our back. So I matched my seams here and I matched my crease here. That way I know that we have equal amount of fabrics all the way around. So now I'm going to just take my clips and go the rest of the way down. So now it looks just like that. I'll give you a top view of kind of what that looks like with all the pins. So it's now time to add our strap. It's really easy to do. What we need to do though is separate the 2 layers of fabric and push it down on one side. I'm going to bring it up on the other side of my trash can here. There we go, just like that. So I want to give myself about even amounts of room. And now I'm going to stuff this down inside of the bag. I'm going to take that one clip off so I can easily get it down inside there. And I want my strap pieces, and I'm not sure how well you can see this in the camera. I want my strap pieces to be about an inch and a half away from the center seam. I'm going to take an extra Wonder clip and clip this down. On both sides, clip my lining down as well, and then I'm going to clip my center seam again back together. So now what we have to do is we have to sew a 1/2 inch all the way around the top of our trash can here. We're dealing with round edges here, so take your time. And what I like to do is I like to start closer to, I'll bring it back over the camera. I like to start closer to the, I guess, quarter-way part of the circle from the top, right here, and then go all the way around. It's a little bit easier to work with. I'm going to stick this underneath my sewing machine. And so I'm going to go really, really slow, and I'm going to keep turning this trash can around. So now that I've sewn a 1/2 inch seam all the way around, and if you remember, we left this little teeny hole in the lining. Now it's time to flip the whole thing right side out. So we're going to just kind of force everything through this hole. And take your time here, don't rip any of your seams out or anything. So now that it's like semi flipped out, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stick my hand in and make sure everything is puffed out how we want it to be. And then from this point you have two options. You can fold this over and whip stitch it so that you can't see any seam. Or what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to fold in my edges a little bit on both sides. I'm going to take it over to my sewing machine and seal off this hole. So that's sewn closed, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to stuff all the lining into itself. Just like that, our traveling trash can is complete. This is a super fun project to make, and it's very useful. If you've liked this video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't be afraid to share it with your friends. As always, we're going to leave instructions on how to make this in the description below, including its template. My name's Teancum, teaching you how to sew like a pro. We'll see you here next week at Sew Yeah Quilting.